Hi, welcome back to another episode on the Healthy Wisdom series with Dr. Jen Chen. Healthy Wisdomers, have you ever wondered about how your feelings and emotions affect your body? Like, when you're excited about something, your heart starts racing, your voice gets higher pitched, kind of like how I'm getting right now, and you can't seem to contain that excitement because it just makes you want to jump for joy? Well, how do feelings translate into physical expression is the topic that we're going to be exploring today. But before we do a deep dive, we probably need to establish a little bit of background information as to how the body and its signals operate. Now, the language of the body and its organs has no words. Therefore, acting out is the only way that it can express the way it feels or the state of its being. So how do we decode these signals? Well, when all the organs are functioning well, the body is in a beautiful state of balance, and the person is feeling very creative, energized, and peaceful as well as calm. But when the body is not in sync, it will find a way to send a signal, whereas it could be in the form of fatigue, digestion issues, muscle and tendon tension, memory loss, and our bodies are truly born in amazing wisdom. In today's episode, we will be highlighting one of these feelings, and it is called anger. In traditional Chinese medicine, anger is one of the 5 basic feelings, and it is often associated with the liver. Now, one illustration that brings these concepts together is when women are suffering from the time of the month. Virtually all menstrual and reproductive issues can be traced to the liver. It's no wonder nobody looks forward to the time of the month, men and women alike, because when menstrual cramps are accompanied with excruciating pain, as well as headaches, dizziness, extreme fatigue, lethargy, most women, I would say, are probably more irritable and snappy. And men probably don't appreciate being snapped at, right? Well, that's because excessive irritability and snappy anger affects the liver, and vice versa. Imbalances in the liver can result in stormy moods. Let's dig a bit deeper to understand this. The liver ensures energy and blood flow throughout the body. And on the emotional side, the liver is connected to what we know as anger, which, when out of balance, it can be expressed in an extreme form of excess irritation and/or explosiveness, or on the other end of the spectrum, as a lack of feelings such as depression or post-traumatic stress disorder. So these mental health imbalances can be both symptoms and/or contributing causes of liver dysfunction. Anger is the emotion of the liver. A subset of these emotions that involve anger, like rage, fury, or aggravation, can indicate that this energy is in excess. And when we experience these emotions consistently, our liver can get damaged. Now, at this point, headaches or dizziness can be common. So an imbalanced liver can be caused by long-standing feelings of repressed anger, such as resentment, frustration, and irritability. But also, an imbalance can also be caused by poor diet, body pollutants such as chemicals, drugs, mold, etc. Now, avoiding outbursts of anger will protect the liver. And there's an interesting pattern related to the stagnation of liver energy, which then manifests in mood swings or manic depressive states. When the energy doesn't move, one can feel low or depressed. And when under certain circumstances the energy actually moves or releases, it can turn into an excessive or heightened state, such as a manic state. In this paradigm, emotions affect our physiology because specific emotions, and in this case anger, are related to corresponding organs, and in this case that's the liver. So emotional activity is seen as a normal, internal, physiological response to stimuli from the external environment. And within normal limits, our emotions cause no disease or weakness in the body. However, it's when these emotions become so powerful that they become uncontrollable or overwhelming for a person that then they can cause serious injury to the internal organs and open the door to disease. So it is not the intensity as much as the prolonged duration of an extreme emotion which causes damage. And this is an important point to keep in mind as we continue to discuss this further. So I'm going to give you a real-life example to put this into context for you. Now, I do have to give a special thanks to one of my patients for allowing me to use him as an example to make this more relatable to you guys. So in the past 5 years or so, he has been experiencing some changes, some major changes in his life in both a long-term relationship as well as changes in work. When he had made a point to mentally decide to do the exact opposite of what he's been doing and take it easy. And what started off as sleeping until, he felt like it and doing pretty much a scheduleless day of bumming around and partying on end at night. His body one day just decided to take control and force him to get up no matter what time he went to bed. It would wake him up at 4 o'clock in the morning, then at 5 o'clock, and then at 6 a.m. And if he defied getting up by, just remaining in bed and tossing and turning and just kind of laying there, what he would end up with is the feeling of some nauseating sickness as well as physical pain. And after a while, he did mention that he became a little bit depressed, and it was actually very frustrating. So this is a prime example of what we've been talking about, where you go from one end of the spectrum to the other end of the spectrum in a real life sense. And so what happened to my patient later on was that he did force himself to get up according to his body. He listened to his body and he decided, you know what, I'm going to make the most of it. I'm going to hit the gym. I'm going to go work out. I'm going to get healthier. And I got to say, as of today, he has been very disciplined and he continues to get up, according to whatever his body wants. And he's in great shape. He is in a way better mental state. And this is a great example of where the organs are functioning well and the body has reached a beautiful state of balance. And he is now feeling energized and feeling great again. Now, let's switch over to Western medicine's perspective and see what the newest findings are. Now, when I was digging around a little bit, I did find that this is one of the key points that really stuck out at me. It's that emotional information is stored through packages in our organs, tissues, skin, and muscles. And these packages allow the emotional information to stay in our body parts until we release it. And what I found was that this actually paralleled traditional Chinese medicine's perspective, as we've been talking about and pointing out in our example. But there is one small point that I wanted to bring your attention to, and it is that negative emotions in particular have a long-lasting effect on our body. So as we continue to discuss this, I want you to keep that in mind, that negative emotions in particular have a long-lasting effect on our bodies. Okay, so let's talk about emotional decision making, because emotional decisions can affect not just the outcome of a decision, but also the speed at which we make these decisions. So, for example, anger leads to impatience, and therefore we make rash decisions in the state of anger. And modern science says that emotions have substantial influences on cognitive processes, such as perception, attention, learning, memory, reasoning, and of course, problem solving. In a 2021 study conducted in Italy during the first wave of the lockdowns for the pandemic, the study showed that when we ignore our emotions or we try to regulate our emotions, people experienced short-term mental and physical stresses on their body. And as a result, there were feelings that affected their brain structure, their heart rhythms, their entire body, their energy, their thoughts. And as a result, this also affected the relationships that they were surrounded with. In other words, mental aspects affect the physical aspect, which then results in behavioral or relational outcomes. I just want to add a disclaimer here that this is an oversimplification of the concepts that we've outlined. And I just want to spark some thought or interest here for you to be able to think about this. And perhaps, maybe in the future, we will have an opportunity to explore this at a deeper level in a future series. So I'd like to invite you to send me any questions that you might have that may have been triggered by some of this information that has piqued your interest and that you'd be more interested in exploring this further. I have personally spent the past year learning a lot about these things, and I find it fascinating that there is more and more science that is pointing to exactly what has been a very deep concept in an ancient craft of the Chinese medicine world. We are literally just scratching the surface of what could be a pretty interesting understanding, or should I say a better understanding of our bodies and how the mental processes of our emotions and feelings come into play when we are functioning in our day-to-day world. All right, Healthy Wisdomers, it's been a pleasure once again to share this knowledge with you today. Please take a minute to subscribe, follow, and rate this episode. And invite your friends to join us on this journey. Remember, knowledge alone will not give you success, but it's what you do with that knowledge that brings out results. This is the Healthy Wisdom Series with Dr. Jen Chen. I'll catch you guys on the next.